The hardest thing is when people, again, who call and they've got a real big need and I don't have a relationship with you and they want us to drop what we're doing to handle it. And a lot of times I just have to say no, because I've already made promises to other people. And once you're in our ecosystem and we're working with you, then I'm more likely to, we're going to jump through a lot more hoops to be able to accommodate last minute needs. But hopefully we've done a lot of work that there's not a lot of drama, because we've got you set up and organized and structured, and we've kind of educated you on where to make good decisions and where you need us and where you don't need us. And so we are able to head off a lot of firestorms. You never get there just because you've got good infrastructure.
Welcome to Well Coached, the podcast where we talk about how people, sales, profit, and self come together to grow a business that actually works. I'm Chris Weinberg. I've coached hundreds of entrepreneurs into their highest productivity zone by helping them get just corporate enough to lead with clarity, build with purpose, and scale with confidence. Let's dive in. Hey team, welcome back to the Well Coached podcast. We are in for a treat today. I've got my good friend and my legal counselor, Nancy Stabell, here, and we're going to dive into all the stuff. She is a terrific entrepreneur who left the corporate world and jumped off the pier and went off and did it on her own and has built an amazing business. And that's what we talk about here, is believing in yourself, taking your idea, you are worthy, and you've got what it takes to go do something about it. And this is one of those stories. We're going to talk to Nancy today. She is, if you live in Nashville, you probably heard of her. She's best of bar attorney from Nashville. We're going to talk about legal strategy, how that drives growth the right way, how she protects shareholder value, or how she saved my butt on more than one occasion, and people that I'm lucky enough to work with, and how generally she just helps leaders make better decisions and better deals. So you got a business side and a legal side. And the best attorneys know how to make those get married together. Some attorneys are deal makers and some attorneys are deal breakers. She's a deal maker. And so I get gravitated toward those kind of people. But super smart. She's been at this over 20 years. She started when she was super young in kindergarten. She also has her MBA as well as the best of bar. She's a really good general business attorney with domain expertise in corporate and M&A and real estate focus. And what I appreciate so much about Nancy is the answer with her is always, how do we get there? It's not, no, we can't. And there's usually a solution to most problems. Not all problems, but most. And I appreciate the way she's able to talk to me and to other business people as a human and not so much as a transactional attorney at times. So with that, Nancy, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Was that a decent intro?
It was. It was very kind.
Okay, good. Well, Nancy and I have known each other for about 14 or 15. But think about this. I've been in Nashville 15 years, and we met just about when I got here. So we're probably at least 13, 14 years into our relationship. And
I started my firm in 2013, and I think I met you like spring of 2014.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, there we go. I can't even believe that it's been that long.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah, I can't believe that long, and we've gone through all kinds of seasons together, and it's it always works out. So, Nancy, we'll stay in our typical lanes of people, sales, profit, and self, and we'll start rocking and rolling. You describe yourself as a strategic partner to businesses. When did you realize that law wasn't just about managing risk, but also about building value?
Oh gosh, I think very early on, I figured out I really needed to understand my clients' businesses. And so how did I approach it and really learn how do they make decisions, and then how do you match the legal with that? But, they're making decisions based on money.
Right.
And so you got to understand where the money goes. And I also just, really in my first year of practice, I started in litigation. And even though my background, I had intended to be a transactional and a corporate lawyer. And I very quickly recognized that I represented a negative in people's lives as opposed to an opportunity. And I mean, it's literally that simple. And it didn't matter how great a job I was doing trying to fix those problems. I still represented a negative, and they really didn't want to talk to me. Whereas once I got over back to the corporate side, we were working on opportunities and growth. And man, they always want to talk to you then.
It's a lot more fun.
It's a whole lot more fun. Absolutely. And it's something that I just enjoyed a lot more, trying to figure out how to build things and put things together as opposed to unwinding whatever it is.
Yeah. I like that. You're either negative in someone's life or an opportunity. I'm probably going to steal that and work it into my shtick. Talk to me about, you jumped off the pier. You took the traditional route, did the law school thing, got the MBA, went to work with a big firm, and then decided I'm going to go do this on my own. How did you think through that and decide I'm jumping off the pier?
Oh gosh, I had gone in-house for a couple of years. I'd had my son, and so I'd gone in-house, and that was not slowing down. That was really speeding up. I spent all my time on a plane, or a lot of it on a plane, and the company was having a lot of what they called regulatory headwinds, and that resulted in them taking out me and the 8 people who worked for me, and it gave me a package and time to sit and think about what did I want to do next in my life. And as I was reviewing and thinking about whether I was working with entrepreneurs or whether I was working with massive hospital companies or whether I'd been in-house in a multinational conglomerate, what did I enjoy most? And it really came to working with entrepreneurs and business owners and people who failure is not an option. And especially coming out of the financial crisis where at any given point, whoever I had been working with could be gone the next day. And you were like, oh, okay. And so who do I get next? And nobody was sad. You didn't have time to think about it. So I started thinking about that. And then I had some time to sit and say, I need to build what I really want for this next chapter of my life. I was kind of midpoint in my career, and it was a big D decide, making that decision to take the leap. But it was also what I needed for that place in my life where I was with a young son. Right after I started the business, my mother was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer. It gave me the flexibility to be the daughter I wanted to be in that chapter of my life. And I got to go back to talking to people that light me up and that are fun. And I had enough of working with people that I didn't particularly enjoy or doing projects I didn't enjoy. And I wanted to have fun every day. And that's what we do every day.
Your dog even comes to the office and is a part of the team.
Charlotte comes to the office every day. She takes her job as the receptionist very seriously. That's fantastic.
You come from a line of attorneys. You're 4th generation, right? 4th generation. What did you inherit, if anything, about leadership and professionalism from the family or from watching family members do it? How did that start marking you early, and what did you pick up or even lean on today?
I think I learned a lot from my dad and the thoughtfulness of decision making, and how, it's really hard to turn off once you've been trained as an attorney and how you think about things in a very logical, methodical way. How to turn that off. And he would come in and you would tell him, I want to do whatever it was. And he would start asking you questions, making sure that you had thought through this. And so I think I still do that. And especially when my clients come in and ask me, here's what we want to do. Okay, let's break that down. Let's roll back. What's our why? Where are we going? What's the end game? What do you need to achieve out of this? Is it going to really actually achieve your goals? Not always. Sometimes it will. Is that really what your goal is? Or is that just right now where you are? So I really appreciate that. And then on the other side of my family, I had a series of real estate deal makers. And so really watching how they cut the deal is something that, how do you negotiate? How do you get somebody's attention? How do you, when do you move? When do you not move? So something that I watched very early on and kind of programmed in me. And I try hard to listen to that intuition and then guide my clients with that. Because sometimes, my mother would talk about when you get new car fever, and it's really hard to see anything or be happy about anything until you get that new car.
That's a real thing.
It is.
It's a real thing.
And you often don't make very good decisions once you get the fever.
I've had that fever.
Right. And I see that all the time with clients when they start to get in the deal mode, and they're gonna sell or they're gonna buy whatever it is. And sometimes I'm like, woohoo, we're getting a little bit of new car fever. Hold on, we got to dial back and break it down. Is this really the deal that you want?
I'm glad you brought that. We're going to dive into that in a little bit, because I want to talk about when to stay, when to walk away, but I want to save it. So that's a great segue. I guess next question, we'll start getting there. Mergers and acquisitions. Obviously, emotions can run high during those time periods. What do most leaders underestimate about the human side of deals and M&As? Like, is it important that the two sides get along? Does the communication or in M&A deals, does it matter if the two parties are friendly to each other, or is it all just transactional and doesn't?
No, I think it's really important that they're able to communicate, because a lot of times the sticky points are worked out not by the lawyers who get really dug in on various legal points or whatever it is. It's the business owners who are the ones who are most likely to come to the creative solutions that fit each side. And so I think it's great. It's really important that they have really good synergies and are able to talk it out. And again, sometimes the lawyers come in and will provide some options, or we will feed issues to them and then let them go cut the particular sticky point working through. I really like people to be able to talk to each other.
That probably helps build at least perceived trust as well, I guess.
It does, and it allows us to move faster.
Okay.
Because again, and again, very few clients don't care about the bill. And it's going to take a lot more for the lawyers to work through those issues. And we have this conversation, and then we have to come back and talk to the client, and then we go back and talk to each other some more, and the back and forth on it. That's dollars.
Right.
That's real dollars that adds up quick. And so to the extent that we can partner together and be able to short circuit this by me feeding you, here's what we've worked through, and we'll sit down and go, here are 4 options for you. Here are 2 best options. Here are 2 other things that you need to be thinking about, and then equip you to be able to have those conversations. Absolutely. We can move a whole lot faster.
How early should young entrepreneurs or new in their business, other than forming their LLC and all how does an entrepreneur, what's the best way for them to develop a relationship with an attorney before they need the attorney? Or is that important?
Oh, I think so. I really want people to call me early and set up a relationship. We'll form your entity. Again, best start there, because then we get it formed how you want it. We get it right. We get what you need.
She literally just told me this a couple of weeks ago. I'm forming a small little LLC that's not going to do anything. And I sent her an email. She said, just let me do it so I get it right the first time.
Right. Well,
you don't have to undo my bad work.
Absolutely. I literally had this conversation with somebody who called me yesterday and was like, I want to set up this LLC. The trust is going to own it, and I'll be the member. And I was like, yeah, no, the trust owns it. The trust is the member. If you want to make the actions and take action, then we need to make it a manager-managed entity, and you can be the manager. How do we get it right, set to achieve your goals? What is your scale path? And so do we need to have you here? Do we need to have you in Delaware? Are there any things particular that we need to be thinking about? I want to do that then. And then I want to make it where it's really easy for you to just shoot me a quick note. I'm thinking about this. Do you care? So that maybe I do, maybe I don't, and I'll tell you. But how do we have a relationship that we can do things so that we don't take big leaps that then I'm left trying to figure out how to unwind?
Right.
Again, they cost money. It's a whole lot more expensive to fix things than it is to do it right the first time.
You've spent a lot of time serving on various boards, and let's talk about that a little bit. And which is in and of itself such a giving thing. I can't stand to sit on boards, but it is you're a good person for doing that. And you've chaired a bunch. You've chaired a bunch of boards. You've chaired finance committees. What separates healthy boards from dysfunctional ones? I've seen both. And what are some separators of those? And how do you try to hedge against that or get it right?
One, let's start with having really a healthy board has healthy people on the board and people who are actually engaged in your business. Ones that and again, you really need good leadership. Start with good leadership who then go recruit really good people to serve on the board. Passive boards, I don't want to have any part of them. That's a really unhealthy place to be. I want people who are going to come in and who actually ask thoughtful questions, who help the leadership think things through, who are making sure that they're fulfilling their fiduciary obligations. We last year had a really unfortunate situation where a board had just been rubber stamping things, and it turned out that the bookkeeper for the business had embezzled hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we had to have a really uncomfortable conversation where we told all the board members to go resign and then go hire private counsel, because they had not been fulfilling their fiduciary obligations, and there was a chance that there could be personal liability because there had been such an abdication, where they had stepped away from their responsibilities.
They abdicated the responsibility.
That's it. As opposed to making sure that you're actually, nobody wants to be in that situation. So how do you making sure that the company is doing what they need to do, but not impeding a really good leader? Because you can also have such an overactive board that it really hinders your leadership and weakens your leadership. And so there's a really healthy balance.
Take off, right?
The good ones take off.
The good ones take off.
And the good ones, good people want to serve on those boards. There's a really balanced leadership.
When a founder or the CEO or whoever says to you, my leadership team is solid, what are 2 or 3 legal or structural indicators that you would look for to confirm that? Even if it's a CEO blind spot or a founder blind spot, because all of us entrepreneurs generally have all kind of legal blind spots because we're not thinking about any of that. We're thinking about, how do I sell this widget? So when they say I'm buttoned up, what are things that you would poke on and go, let's make sure you're buttoned up?
Do you have a really good CFO? Do you have somebody who's really looking at the numbers and strategically analyzing and making sure that you're really informed, and that they can advise you? I can't tell you how often I end up with people who are making decisions and they're not in their numbers. They don't understand the financials behind their business, and they don't have people who are bringing this to them and are active partners in that, and who are people who are coming behind and making sure that you have the right paperwork and they're dotting the I's and crossing their T's, and you have really good contracts and you're saving those contracts and you know what's in those contracts.
Right.
And you're not just signing anything that people put in front of you, or they just go to look to see that the numbers are right on the back page on the exhibit.
Yeah.
That's another one that would be really important.
Yeah, that's a good one, guys. We talk a lot about entrepreneurs generally. Unless you're an accountant, we don't get in business to say, I can't wait to go do these numbers. So, and therefore, early stage entrepreneurs, or sometimes not even early stage, will keep doing the books themselves. They have no skill, or then they'll go hire Jim or Sally, who's a bookkeeper. And that bookkeeper may or may not be honest. They may or may not be qualified. They may or may not be keeping up with the latest changes in code. I'm a huge proponent of outsource or get super good financial help early so that you can focus on your thing.
Absolutely. And you have to manage these people. Like, that's until you get up, the CEO is the visionary, they're outward looking, but until you get to a certain size, you're still managing some of these people and making sure that they're doing their job and there's engagement there. I can't tell you how many times I've had people who just kind of are like, they do stuff and they're not supervising, and then they come back and they have a really sad story, like that somebody's been embezzling money from them or whatever it is. You've got to build your business and making sure that the processes are in place and that people are actually performing and that you're monitoring how this works.
Yeah, we call that inspect what you expect.
That's great. I'm going to steal that.
I wish I came up with it as Ken Blanchard, but it's a good one. Inspect what you expect, right? And then the other to that is drudgery of the numbers will set you free, and that's also, I wish I had that, but that's Harold Janine. But yeah, you got to be staring at the numbers, and which so many entrepreneurs don't. I work a lot in the creative space. I have a lot of my music, a lot of my stuff are with highly creative people, and they don't care. They don't give a damn about a P&L, and that gets them in trouble eventually.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's fine as long as there's enough money coming in, but as soon as the rain starts falling.
Right. And we see, especially when people then decide they want to sell, well, then the devil is really in the numbers and you got to go tear it apart. And does it hold up? And then they're really disappointed when it doesn't hold up.
Right. Hey team, are you looking to elevate your professional and personal life in the heart of Nashville? Well, since 1957, the Nashville City Club has been the city's premier private membership club, offering an exceptional experience in fine dining, networking, and memorable events. As a member, you'll enjoy top-tier networking opportunities, business development events, mentoring programs, social mixers, and signature holiday celebrations. The club's private dining room serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner in a professional yet relaxed environment featuring menus crafted by Nashville's top culinary professionals. Members enjoy personalized concierge services, including bookings for concerts, events, sports, and dining reservations. Additionally, the club offers discounted private event spaces for personal and professional gatherings, accommodating over 200 guests at a time. We are located at 200 South 2nd Avenue. The Nashville City Club provides a versatile environment that serves as both a home away from home and an extension of your office. The warmth of the staff, the energy of the city, and the pride of the community are felt instantly upon arriving. Join us for this thriving community of Nashville's most respected and accomplished citizens. Apply for membership today and experience the unparalleled benefits the Nashville City Club has to offer. For more information or to start your application, visit nashvillecity.com or email info@nashvillecity.com. Well, let's transition into the sales area. When we're talking about those kind of deals, what are some of the biggest mistakes that business owners can make before they even enter a negotiation?
They have not prepared themselves. Like, you need to start, ideally you're 3 years out, but really 1 to 2 years out, looking and at your processes, at your people, cleaning up your AR, making sure your contracts are all right. Mm-hmm. Are your contracts assignable? Do you have your key people locked down? Do you have them under contract so that they go with the deal?
So before selling, it's a 2 to 3 year process of getting yourself right and organized. And okay,
it depending on how cued in you are in your business, but cleaning up, getting all your personal stuff out of your financials so that you've got really good, strong, clean numbers.
That's hard for us entrepreneurs. That's hard.
So then go put it all down in a below the line. You know, you have a couple of categories that are below you've got an NOI, and then you've got the real,
yes.
So that it's there. It's all you can, but it's easy for you to identify what are the real numbers.
When you were doing these deals, what are some things that would make you say, let's walk away from this to create even more leverage in the future than pushing forward? And I bet that's hard. Is it hard to talk? You ever see deals where it's going good, the entrepreneur's so excited about closing his or selling his or her business, but for whatever reason, it might just not be right timing. Is it hard to talk them into slowing down, or does that happen? Like, retreat, let's get better prepared for it and come back at it.
Again, you've got new car fever, and then you decide you're not going to go get the new car.
How do you get people not to buy the new car?
It gets down to the numbers, because everybody has an idea in their head what their company is worth, and they've got an idea on what they're going to expect out of it, or there's a real need on, this is what I need to get out of it for it to have been worth my while, or for me to do whatever's next. And so sometimes if the numbers are much lower, that may get them to make a change, to pull back, because whoever's buying it, they're not going to, occasionally they overpay, but for the most part, they're over there trying to figure out how not to overpay. Right. How do I not, and how do I recoup? And is the business stable? Am I going to be able to maintain it at the same level? And so that's probably the fastest thing to unwind a deal. I don't see it that often, but but somebody who hasn't really dug into their business and built the infrastructure. Yeah. When the Q of E comes back and says, the numbers really aren't all that good. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that will pull people back.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what I got out of that, team, if you're building your business and selling is part of your strategy, 2 to 3 years out, let's start making sure we're clean on the financials and the P&L and the balance sheet, and putting your things below the net income line. And Q of E means quality of earnings, and getting that structure. It's more than just having a widget that everybody wants to buy. You've got to be easy for someone to buy your business. And if they're sophisticated, they're used to looking at sophisticated financials. So
yeah, I had another one that fell apart because it was for a professional service owner who had a business in a more rural area. It was a great, incredible deal with a private equity firm that was doing a roll up. And but one of his key person who was going to stay behind was not under contract and did not have an employment agreement that said you'll be here for 3 years. And the firm pulled back. The employee wouldn't sign one. And they were like, "What happens if we buy this?" And he walks.
He's gone.
And this is going to be a place that it's not going to be easy to pop somebody in very, very quickly. And, we had to pull, literally it killed the deal. That was the one issue that killed the deal. And so we had to go back and he had to start rebuilding with that person. So now the young person has figured out what this strategy is. He leaves. We had to go bring in somebody new, young, and groom them up. And I still don't think that business is sold. So
we often say that people are the most dynamic resource.
Absolutely. And people want to know that those key people
are sticking
around to help run the business and who know where the sticky points are.
Yeah.
Who can manage the client relationships.
All right. When we're talking about M&A stuff, what are red flags that you're looking at? If you've got a client who's buying, who's in acquisition mode, what are some red flags that you see in companies before you say, yeah, let's go do this acquisition? Poor financials would be one.
Poor financials are one. Too much AR that's too long. Go in and look at your contracts. How long are your contracts with your key clients?
Okay.
Do you have too much revenue concentrated in one client? How sticky is that, and how far will it roll? How are you going to recoup your purchase price? Can you over time? Do we think it's going to be really, really stable, the revenue, when you transition over to the new person, to the new ownership team? Are your key employees going to be, how sticky are they? Are they going to understand the new expectations? Like, how far different are your expectations on how you run the business as opposed to the legacy, the seller? And will people make that transition? Are they going to run when you come in and you're expecting a lot more productivity or efficiency? Whatever your optimization metrics are.
So it's super important to understand the culture of what you're buying, isn't it? Because things can look really sexy on the outside, but then if
it's about day two.
Yeah. And if you're trying to go buy that shiny car, you may overlook that in a hurry.
How much do you really know about this industry? A lot of people come in and
you see that a lot where people are buying things in industries where they just have no business being in it. There's that. You always hear that thing of like, stick to what you know kind of thing, but that
more in the hospitality space than anywhere else.
Everybody wants to own a restaurant.
Right. And they don't have, especially
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Do not do it.
And especially if you've never worked in hospitality.
Right.
Like, I can't help if you've never worked in
But I'm
hospitality.
a good cook, Nancy.
Right. Exactly.
It's so funny that business is such a shiny toy. And I grew up in that business, and it is exceedingly difficult. But people are enamored by it, and everybody wants to give it a shot at some point.
What is it with, I want to own a bar?
Right.
I don't know.
No, you don't.
Again, I really don't. But if you want to, okay.
That's a whole nother podcast. That's a whole nother thing. You got your MBA and the law degree. What made you decide? I'm going in the self category now. What made you decide I'm going to go get this MBA? And what was the thought process there? And how does that help inform your law practice?
Oh, gosh. One, I woke up one day and just decided I was done doing what I was doing and I was going to go back to school. And I had taken my GMAT, but not the LSAT. And at the time, Ole Miss had an accelerated MBA program. They don't have it anymore, but I was able to start like 3 weeks later.
Okay.
So one, there was practical, but two, my father had been a lawyer and he had said, I'll support you on this journey. I don't love the idea of you going to law school, but if you go get your MBA first, then I'm going to be some more supportive of this. And it was a really great move for me because, and especially doing one before the other, because I, kind of having programmed how you think about things through the MBA program before I stepped into law, because I think the law needs to inform business as opposed to business informing the law, and at least in how I approach working with my clients. And so that really kind of set off how I went, and it made I didn't understand law school because there's this weird magic in law school that people you do an outline of a class because there's one test, and so there's an outline of all the materials, and it was a big deal to go get the outline from whoever like did really well in the class the year before, and it was the magic one and you didn't share. And I didn't understand that at all, especially having come from the MBA program where everything is so collaborative and it's about moving the team to the goal and the finish line, as opposed to it's all about me. And so I just never played that game. I didn't get it. And that's still how I approach things. Again, that's what I do. Is there's a project and there's a team and there's a goal, this company that we're trying to get you to this goal, and we all got to work together in that, as opposed to every man for themselves.
Well, that's refreshing. That's a good way to think about it. When you're rocking and rolling and busy as heck, how do you manage your own stress when things are hot and busy? And us entrepreneurs, we carry a load. How do you release it?
I don't know that I'm more. It's again, this is work in progress. Is how am I? I'm really again work in progress. Trying to make sure that I'm making time for myself and that I hold those lines steady. How am I making sure that I'm doing something where I'm moving my body and I'm letting that out? I actually have a girl who comes and does yoga with anybody who wants in my office on Mondays and Wednesday afternoons. So that, again, how are you letting some of that out and moving so that you're not all tied up, and keeping the eye on the bigger picture. So. And
that's hard sometimes for us entrepreneurs, right? You
really
got this mix between tactical and strategy. And if we're not very careful, we can get caught up in the tactical and never think about strategy. And you got to create space for that.
You do, because sometimes those are where my best ideas come from, is when I've taken the time to go walk. We talked about Charlotte comes to the office with me. There's this green area. It's actually somebody's side yard that's behind my office, and it runs down behind Dave's garden. Yeah. And Charlotte will come tell me it is time, and she wants to go out, or she'll see these dogs that walk past the windows, and it might be taking 5-10 minutes that we go and just walk this green space to she sniffs and let me just let it process, and invariably I will come back with an idea.
That's super important, team. We often talk about create space where you don't have any responsibility other than walking on the beach, metaphorically. And that's often where the best stuff comes, when nothing else, when you're walking the dog or not staring at a computer or doing nothing. And sometimes as entrepreneurs, especially early on, we feel guilty about that. We think we're supposed to just be on the hamster wheel all the time.
When early in my career, when I was a baby lawyer, I worked for, I had a mentor, a gentleman named Martin Simmons, and he was a big smoker, as was at the time, that was still everybody. Yeah. And he would walk in my office and say, "Nancy, it's time for a sunshine break." And that meant we were riding the elevator downstairs and we were going out on the plaza, Fifth Third Bank, and we would walk up and down while he smoked a cigarette, and he was processing. There was something he needed to process. And we might talk it out, and it might be just that we were walking and sitting in the sunshine. And about the time he finished that cigarette, he would have figured out whatever we needed, and we would ride the elevator back up. And that was something that not until I got on my own and I had Charlotte coming with me that I really began to really appreciate the value of taking that 5 or 10 minutes.
It's where the best stuff can happen.
Absolutely.
So Busy doesn't equal productivity. So carve out time for yourself. It's super important. That's why we call it people, selves, profit, self. You've got to have time away. You've got to have time to reflect, and whatever that means. I think it's different for everybody. For some people, that's a yoga class. For some people, it's walking the dog. For some people, it's staring at the beach. Whatever it is that where you can unplug and not be tactically involved with the business 24/7.
I don't make good business decisions for my business when I'm too deep in the weeds in the business. Yeah. I really try to monitor and manage how many hours I need to be delegating out to other people, so that I'm making time to be strategic about where we're going.
Hey team, are you looking to elevate your golf game year-round? Nashville City Golf, located within the Nashville City Club at 200 2nd Avenue South, offers a premier indoor golfing experience right in the heart of downtown. With over 350 real-world courses available on state-of-the-art TrackMan.io simulators, you can challenge yourself on some of the world's most renowned fairways without leaving the city. Whether you're a seasoned golfer or just starting out, our facility caters to all skill levels. Features of the club include TrackMan.io performance tracking, an adjustable swing stage, indoor putting, and great upscale lounge and food and beverage, as well as PGA instruction right on site. Nashville City Golf isn't just about swinging a club, it's about experiencing a revolution in golf practice and entertainment. Our cutting-edge features elevate your game and create an unforgettable experience. We offer flexible membership options to suit your needs, as well as booking for an individual sessions. Ready to tee off? Visit NashvilleCityGolf.com to learn more about memberships, book a session, or schedule a lesson with one of our PGA instructors. Elevate your game at Nashville City Golf, where the best of golf meets the best of Nashville. Okay, we're going to do some rapid fires. Ready? Okay. One trait that every CEO should cultivate.
Being able to be strategic. It's being able to have a vision for where you're going.
And that's an interesting one too, and because most people start going up the org chart because they're really good individualistic performers, and then hopefully they learn how to be a manager, so to get results through other people by tactical action. Taking that leap to visionary, that's a whole nother skill set.
I liken it to random acts of business. Like, do you have a plan and where you're going? Mm-hmm. At one point was thinking about partnering with somebody, and we started working together, and I realized that, again, I think entrepreneurship is like a road trip, and the first thing you do is decide, where are you going?
Mm-hmm. I'm going to Buc-ee's.
Buc-ee's. Where are you going on your road trip? And then you're like, how do I get there, and who needs to be in the car?
Right.
And who's bringing the snack bag, and who's got the cooler, and who's bringing the mixtape? And we could never get to where we couldn't even have a conversation about where are we going. It was like she was just going to ride around on I-440 every day, and when she got tired, go home and come back and redo that, as opposed to like moving getting to where's that destination.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Leaders got to set the pace for the pack, right?
Right.
What's the hardest negotiation lesson that you've learned?
Probably you got to listen very, very carefully to what people are saying and all the methods that people communicate, and not to negotiate against yourself.
What does that mean? What does not negotiate against yourself mean? What would be some examples of that? And when do people do it?
Oh, people do this all the time when they start. They get too far in their head, and then they're negotiating with themselves. And as we're trying to put the offer back on the table, they're making assumptions on things that we don't know, as opposed to just putting something down. Or have you been listening really carefully to what they're saying? And like, here are some roadblocks, or here are some, things that we've got to navigate. And let's do that and make the next move. But don't try to, you don't have to get it all done at one time. We're just trying to keep moving the needle in the right direction. Mm-hmm. It may take 2 or 3 turns.
Yeah. And back to the shiny toy. I mean, if we're probably so excited to get the deal done that we have blind spots all over the place.
We have blind spots. And I just don't want people to end up with too many regrets on the other side, or if you've given away so much that it once you get into it, you're going to realize it's not a very lucrative. It wasn't the the financials aren't going to work out the way that you thought because you gave away too much.
Right.
And people do this all the time. They haven't modeled this out. They haven't thought it all the way through, and then they give away too much, and then you can't get it back. And then it's not the endeavor is not going to be successful because it wasn't set up for success.
Mm-hmm. What biggest myth about lawyers?
I don't know, because there are a lot of jokes and so forth that there's also grains of truth in. And I really try to be, a real person first and a lawyer second. So maybe that we're all argumentative.
Okay. Which you're trained to be.
We're trained to be.
Yeah.
You got to know where to turn it on and where to turn it off.
Right. Well, let's brag on you for a second. You started, you went out, pitched your flag, and how many team members now?
We're 5 lawyers.
Yeah, that's amazing.
5 lawyers and 1 admin, and we hope to have a 6th by maybe in the next 60 to 90 days. What kind of people or businesses do you like working with? Who should be calling you? I love serial entrepreneurs. We get along like peas and carrots. I love people who are really interested in growing their businesses, and who want to do it right up front. Again, people who've got that drive and are like to be really creative in how they're doing it. We work really, really well with business owners who sit in the probably 2 up to about 50 million in annual revenue. Mm-hmm. We have a lot that are underneath that who are true startups.
On their way.
Who are on their way.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that are, who want to go and do and who aren't afraid. If you're, again, people who we get in a negotiation and they're so scared of their shadow that they're going to give away the farm, I'm not a good match for you. So.
Okay, guys, and gals, so here's the thing. You don't have to be a great big corporate entity to have great legal representation. And so don't think that you got to wait and wait and wait. It's important to, just the same way you want to get your vendor set up or your accounting set up, getting the right legal structure and having someone you can call on a rainy day. It's better to have that relationship before the rain starts falling.
Absolutely.
Yeah, better to have that. And so especially with, Nancy handles all of my stuff and fortunately I don't have much and most of my clients' things, and they just have just a good relationship. You can just call, you just call sometimes, but the closer your attorney can be to what you're up to, the faster you get through issues when they do arise.
The hardest thing is when people, again, who call and they've got a real big need and and I don't have a relationship with you and they want us to drop what we're doing to handle it. And a lot of times I just have to say no, because I've already made promises to other people. And once you're in our ecosystem and we're working with you, then I'm more likely to, we're going to jump through a lot more hoops to be able to accommodate last minute needs. But hopefully we've done a lot of work that there's not a lot of drama because we've got you set up and organized and structured, and we've kind of educated you on where to make good decisions and where you need us and where you don't need us. And so we are able to head off a lot of firestorms. You never get there just because you've got good infrastructure.
Yeah, that's the way I look at Nancy, guys. I think of her as my insurance policy, right? And so I think of my CFO and Nancy, they're my insurance policies, right? So it allows me to go be entrepreneurial, but I know I'm not going to go over a cliff as long as I'm communicating. I know that those 2 guardrails for me will allow me to go do things, but I've got some checkpoints to go left turn, right turn. Watch out for that.
Yep.
And so that's good. Well, people find you at Stabell Law Group.
Yep.
I appreciate you. We've had a great relationship, and Nancy is trustworthy as the day is long. She's very easy to talk to, and I would highly recommend. And her team is great. She's very good at. She has learned also as the CEO. She knows how to triage and push things down to the right folks. And she's built a team to where you've done well knowing that when you push me off or one of our clients off to the next person down the totem pole, I know that they're trustworthy too.
Yep.
because they've got your oversight. You've vetted them, you've hired them, you've checked their competence and their confidence, and so the team works. It's working.
We really want to push work down to the appropriate level.
Yes.
Because you don't want to pay me to review your NDA or whatever it is. You know,
Right.
how do they know when to bring me in and when not, or if they have questions, I'm available. But we work to manage our clients' legal spend.
Yeah, and that's a big one, guys. I mean, and Nancy their team does a good job of that. She's always, and sometimes I find it funny because she's always talking about bill protection, and instead of, there are people out there in every industry that'll inflate bills and might get a one-time hit, but then that client moves on. So you're running marathons with your clients, not sprints.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
We, I don't engage in creative billing techniques. That's not what we're going to do. Again, we spend whatever time we spend on it, and then we got to move on to the next project. We've got plenty of work, and so we're not going to overwork. We're just going to get you taken care of and get you on your way.
Awesome. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This has been fun.
All right, team. If you like this episode, please tell everybody out there. If you didn't like it, don't tell anybody. And go subscribe. It'll be on all the platforms, YouTube, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcasts. Thanks a ton for coming.
Thank you.
When you need a great attorney, her team is the place to call. If you are an entrepreneur in that beginning phase all the way up to 50 million, she's super trustworthy, and I've seen her go up against bigger entities and do just fine, and has represented me and my team of people I get to work with expertly for many years.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right. See you next time. That's it for today. Thanks for being here. I hope something in this conversation sparked a new idea or gave you a little clarity. We'll be back next week to keep digging into what it means to lead well, grow smart, and build something that lasts. Until then, stay well coached.